Mayday, mayday, mayday. It's May 1st, 2020, guys. How many of you are so happy to be here and grateful that God woke us up this morning to see this day? I know I am. So I'm here because I'm starting off with a movement for Under the Broom Tree. I am April McLam. I am the owner and founder of Under the Broom Tree LLC, and we are a mental health counseling company. And I am a licensed clinical social worker. I have been in the social work field for at least 12 years, maybe more. I don't want to shortchange myself. But anyway, I'm here to talk to you about moving forward. And since it's Friday, I'm kind of like a cheesy person, so I like little catchphrases, and I like to call it Moving Forward Friday. Not a lot of you may not know this about me, only a few people, a lot of my family. But about 14 years ago, I went through my own mental health journey. And it wasn't until several years later that I could articulate and find in the word what I actually went through. And so, which is the premise of a part of why Under the Broom Tree has its name. So, Under the Broom Tree comes from a scripture in 1 Kings 19, and it talks about a major prophet, a prophet that I've come to love, that I'm still understanding, that I'm still studying. His name is Elijah. He's one of the few people depicted in the word that he never died. God just said, "That's it. You've done what I've asked you to do. I'm going to take you." And he took him up. And then later on, his ministry flourished through another prophet, Elisha. He was given the mantle of Elijah, and he just soared. But we can go into that all day long about Elijah and his gifts. But what I wanted to focus on today was a little bit about me and what my mental health journey looked like. So about 14 years ago, I lost my grandparents pretty much at the same time. They were both in the hospital. One grandparent, my grandfather, he was going to pass. We knew that. And at the time, I was in law school in Arkansas. And I got the call to come home so that I could say goodbye. I knew that that's what I was going to do. But then my grandmother ended up going in the hospital around the same time, too. So they were both in the hospital on different floors. And if I go back and reach, I remember visiting them. I remember that I was getting myself ready to say goodbye to my grandfather, but had hope and had prayed that my grandmother would pull through. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. My grandfather died on February 6th, and we buried him on February 10th, and then that day my grandmother died. From way I remember it, she died around the same time we were having a funeral for my grandfather. And so they were gone at the same time, just like that. From then on, a lot of things transpired, but I ended up going back to Arkansas. And I was in a long-term relationship at the time, and it didn't work out. It took me many years to let go of it, but around that time was what the beginnings of it was over. And so here I was. I had lost like 3 people. Didn't recognize that was, loss that I was grieving. Anyway, I couldn't handle it. I was in law school. I had a full-time job. I had an apartment. I was away from all my family, most of my friends, and I couldn't handle it. And I had a quote-unquote nervous breakdown. Don't ask me how I got from Arkansas back home to my parents' house, but it happened. And the first few days that I was home, it wasn't good. I found myself in a psychiatric hospital and didn't know who I was. I wasn't speaking from what I was told. I wasn't giving people direct eye contact. I wasn't smiling. I wasn't even really crying. I was just, if I can go back and remember, I kind of felt really numb and I wanted to die. I had thoughts of wanting to die for the first time ever in my life. And around that time, I think I was like 21 or 22 years old. So when I go back and look in scripture from 1 Kings 19, I want to read for you how this connects with me. In 1 Kings 19, it says, Ahab told Jezebel everything that Elijah had done and how he had killed all the prophets with the sword. So Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah saying, May the gods punish me and do so severely if I don't make your life like the life of one of them by this time tomorrow. Then Elijah became afraid and immediately ran for his life. When he came to Beersheba that belonged to Judah, he left his servant there, but he went on a day's journey into the wilderness. He sat down under a broom tree and prayed that he might die. He said, I have had enough. Lord, take my life, for I'm no better than my fathers. Then he lay down and slept under the broom tree. When I go back and think about the time when I went to the psychiatric hospital, I was admitted by a psychiatrist who said that basically I was a danger to myself, and I voluntarily agreed to commit myself. And I was diagnosed with depression, and I remember being so afraid of what I might do, afraid about how my family thought, afraid where my life was going to be headed next. I felt like I lost everything. And I remember also wanting to sleep, just like close my eyes and not wake up. And I also remember having moments of like, I want to sleep and all this to go away. I want this to be done. I can't handle this. I don't know how to deal with this. I don't know how to cope with this. And so there goes the start of my mental health journey. And it has been a journey. Fast forward to 2 years later, 2008, I found myself in graduate school. I did try to go back to law school, but I was denied. And I didn't get denied to go to Tulane University. Never knew about the school. Honestly, I applied on a bet. I was dating someone at the time, and he was like, I dare you to do it. See what happens. And I got in. I had always dreamed that I wanted to be a Juris Doctorate and get a master's degree in social work at the same time because I wanted to be a child advocate attorney. And I got into the graduate school, and there goes started my journey in social work. I said all this to say, to express to you that Under the Broom Tree is a company that is a non-judgmental space. It's a safe space. What you'll find from me and from the service I provide is all I want to do is partner with you. I want to partner with you through your journey because there were a lot of people who partnered with me through my journey to help me get from that moment in 2006 to 2018. I'm sorry, 2008, and then years thereafter. And so part of my goal, if you decide to reach out to me, is to walk you through your own journey spiritually because I had lost it. Elijah was a powerful man of God. He knew the word. He spoke the word. He prayed the word. He believed in the word. And he got to a point where he wanted to die, all because of him trying to defend the word. And in that point in time in my life, all I knew was the word. I believed it. I prayed that, God would answer my prayers, and he didn't answer a lot of them. There was a moment in my life I didn't feel like God was listening to me at all. And so I got to a point where, what's the point? I fought for all these things. I love my grandparents tremendously. I was in a relationship that I thought would work out, and it didn't. And it was just like, well, what's the point? My life is not what I imagined it would be. It kind of went to a total 180 that I didn't expect, and I didn't know how to handle it. And so, as I work with you, let's come together and let's talk about how we can handle it. This walk, this life walk is not easy. It's not for the faint. And if you are a Christian like me, I've come to realize that living this lifestyle, living in constant worship, it is not for the faint at heart. There are fruits of the Spirit that will enhance you and drive you to a point where all you have is God, and all you have is to rest under a tree in the middle of a desert, or rest on a psychiatric hospital bed and say, God, help me, because I want to die. So I hope you gained a little bit about me. This will hopefully be more videos about moving forward on Fridays. And thank you for taking the time to listen to little old me. Peace.